Hey, John, good to see you too, bud. We'll get started here in a second, everybody. Okie dokie, we'll get started shortly. Hope everybody's doing well this Monday night. I'll try to pull up and see who is asking questions on YouTube. We always get a chunk on there. There we go, live. All right. Okie dokie. Give it. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes to get logged on before we hit the record button. Hope everyone's having a great. It's hard to believe February is here. Hey, Steve, how's it going, bud? Good to see you. If you guys could do me a favor, for those that are live here in Zoom, type in the chat roll what states you're in, or what are your top three states to buy notes in? Because 1,300 seller finance notes is going to be a little tough to get through. We're not getting through them all, so we're going to kind of break it up by states a little bit and try to run numbers across those that are here. Obviously, we've got a lot in here. There's a lot in states, Texas being the predominant one, Florida second. And I'll try to make sure and add in and pull the states that you guys are buying in. All right. Kansas, Derek Blades, what's up, buddy? Derek, can you answer my question back about the thing I asked you? Did you ever reach out to Dan about the owner finance stuff? And then if you email me or what you're looking for is a pricing guideline, I can give you some stuff and see if folks are playing ball. I get if you don't want to do the RMLO conversion, is totally fine, but just let me know. Uh, John Sherry, New York. Judy's in Maine. Yeah. Oh, you did send an email earlier. Okay, I just must have missed it, Derek. No problem. Uh, you're welcome, bud. Thank you. No problem. No problem. Thanks for letting me know that the link wasn't working originally on the first email too. All right, we're gonna give everybody another minute or so before we hit the record button and go live. Good to see you guys on here tonight. John, I'm sorry, but are you buying in New York, John? No. Okay. All right. So, like I said, it's great. Glad to know you're up there, but let me know that you're like top three states that you're buying in. You know, Texas being one. We're going to focus on Texas. Going to throw it in there. I'm probably not going to throw Florida in there just because of all the issues with insurance, HOAs, and stuff like that. I mean, I will if you guys want to look at it because my I'll share a little bit about my mythology. But if you've got one or two or three states that you like, throw it in there, and I'll cover it. I think there's only a couple in Kansas, Derek. Um, Steve Plain, Texas. There's a couple in Arizona, Steve. Oh no, actually, there was a chunk in Arizona, and I really do believe Arizona's going to have a lot more interest in the non-performing side based on the new rules they're trying to pass over there. It's just it was an Arizona House Bill 3862, something like that, 3863 or something like 39. I don't know. It's a horrible rule. Okay. Love it. Exactly right. Who doesn't love it when it's in their backyard? Okay, I see 4 minutes past the hour. Let's hit the record button and get this cake party started, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Hit record. All righty, everybody. Hey, welcome to a live edition of Note Night in America here on Monday night. It is hard to believe it's Happy President's Day or Happy Washington's birthday. Hopefully, if you were had some time off today, you got to enjoy it. I spent the afternoon out of the house, actually watching a little baseball this afternoon, and watched our team win, which is always great. Literally just a home run away from my backyard here. So that was nice up for a couple hours up to about 5 o'clock today. But anyway, uh, glad to have you all here. We've got a lot to go through tonight. Glad to have some familiar faces. It's hard to believe 2026 is literally it's almost like a week and a half away from being a sixth of the way done. Where is the year going, everybody? Hard to believe that. Lots of great stuff coming in across our plates. I mean, we've been doing pretty regularly, except for a couple nights here and there, doing a Monday night live. Most of it's going to be tapes, tapes 4,000, 3,000, 1,317. I think last Monday night we broke down the tale of the two tapes, the preview of the contract for D tape, and then also the 50 EBOs Uh, Lots of stuff coming in. This tape actually came in last week. Unfortunately, Monday week for some our email service was down, so we couldn't do one anyway to announce it to everybody. But glad to do it through here. You're going to need to get bids into me, and probably in the next 2 days. Well, I know for sure by the end on Wednesday, get me your bids off this tape. If you haven't gotten this tape, it's because you're probably not in our WCN Master membership. So John from Houston, not John Sherry, but John from Houston, you should see that already in there. I just uploaded it. If you're a WCN membership or part of our one-on-one coaching, Judy, you should have seen the list already uploaded there. We uploaded it, about an hour ago. I'm gonna tell you right now, the tape is sanitized. There's not full addresses on it. The thing to keep in mind when you have that, because I am direct to the seller on this. The seller does not want to share addresses. They don't want this being blasted out to joker brokers. They gave me permission to do these because I know they know we're going to get bids in. All right. They do give values. The seller is aware that people are going to get their underwear in a wad because there's not full addresses on here. But they have, when you look at what their values were versus the current legal balance. Now, most of these have a chunk of equity. There are some that are upside down. Um, they give you the zip codes. You're not going to be able to pull value off the zip codes. They're putting in their valuation in there, what their AVM is. Go off bidding off that. They understand that upon successful bids or the highest bids or the bids accepted, they'll then release the full addresses. Of course, they expect some fade if the values come back differently. So it's just indicative offering. I was talking with a guy earlier today. He's like, "Oh, I spent all this time on some Texas stuff, and I only got like 17 bids." I'm like, "Dude, if you spend more than like 30 minutes doing bid work on something like this, you're spending way too much time." And that's what we're going to go through here tonight. That's when I really want to reiterate home to you guys. Don't be so worried on the front end. All right. I know, oh my God, we get so bogged down into falling in love with one good looking deal or two good looking deals. Look, when you have more and more tapes like this, like in Texas, if you're just buying in Texas, there's 425 notes on here. Don't just bid on two, bid on 20. You're much more likely to get something accepted. And yes, they understand that bids are going to fade, bids reduced. In most cases, you're going to see values have gone up from what they put on here. In the case where they've gone down a little bit, there's still a lot of equity because of the seasoning on these things. And these have a tremendous amount of seasoning. Hey, Sheila from Cedar Park, good to see you. I'll wave to you from across 620 tonight for you, all righty? Good to see you, Sheila. Glad to have you on here. But anyway, all right. Let's dive into this information here. Just so you guys know, haven't been around for, we do have an upcoming workshop here in just 11 days. It's hard to believe that. February 27th, that's a Friday. February 28th is a Saturday, and March 1st here in Austin, Texas, here on the north side of town, Sheila. Yes, not too far between here and me. It's a 3-day workshop, 9 to 5 on Friday, Saturday, maybe 6 on Saturday. Sunday will be about 9 to 3. I know we got folks coming in from across the country. Judy's going to be here. John's going to be here. Got a bunch of folks coming in. So we'll probably have about 35, 40 people at the most, which is great. With the room set up for about 50. If we get 50, great. If we get, I'm already happy with those that have signed up already. We're going to have a great time. We get 4 people show up, I can teach a class to 4 people. But we have more than that coming. New content, new manual. I've rewritten the manual. We have a section on using AI and stuff. First day's all about finding deals and the usual stuff of how we get deals sent to us. What do we say? What do we not say? And leveraging some new things, new marketing tactics this year, which nobody else is sharing. Day 2 is all about the raising capital side. It's changed. It's tweaked up a little bit. And we're excited about that. Real world examples, how to use AI to help you with that stuff. And then, of course, deal flow. We got a ton of case studies, real world case studies we're going to go through in class, classified stuff, collateral breakdown. I am so excited about this class. So it's $497 is the price. It's usually $997 cut in half or rent a discount. That includes for you plus a spouse or guest. If you're not spouse with them, that's totally fine. We'll give you the replays to the November workshop so you can go watch those afterwards. No, we are not recording this class. The live, I don't like to mess around when I'm in person in case there's an audio or video issue. So come on in. If you can't make it, then the next class should be April, May. But we're really excited about this class. And like I said, we're going to go into real world stuff, real world tapes, just like we're going through tonight with you guys. And why nobody else does it, I don't know. Okay. So anyway, let's move on here. But anyway, get signed up for the class, and we'd love to have you here. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. Link is notebuyingfordummies.com. That's notebuyingfordummies.com. Or to our website at weclosenotes.com. But anyway, I took the time this afternoon to dive in and sort the spreadsheet of 1,317 notes by state. So you can see how the states kind of break down. All right. There is nothing in Vermont. Okay. There is something in New Hampshire, nothing in Vermont, nothing in Rhode Island. Okay. Neither Rhode Island, neither Rhode or an island. Think about that for a second. Nothing in North Dakota, nothing in South Dakota, nothing in Minnesota, nothing in Iowa. So, going down to the store to get you some Luska Fisk and Pop. There's nothing in your backyard, Oli and Lena can go have a fun time in the woods of Minnesota, or as Tim Waltz would say, where all the cows and the rocks are up where I'm from originally, okay? Where all my family's at. But anyway, let's have some fun tonight because there's a lot across the states. You can see 425 in Texas, 200 in the God's waiting room. I still think Florida's got some opportunity if you live down there. I'd be avoiding condos. Obviously, there's some opportunity out there if you can afford the insurance side of things. All right, we know that. California's got a chunk at 72. North Carolina is at 66. New York's got 65. We're not going to dive into that. New Jersey's got a little few at 12. Arizona 63 over there. So we've got some opportunity. Even something in Alaska. This is a tape with the most I've ever seen in Alaska ever. Usually there's one, maybe two. But it's got 17 in Alaska this time around. Never bought a note in Alaska. I might have to do that just for the heck of it. Probably not. But anyway, so you can see it's a good mixture of stuff, obviously heavily in Texas. This is a fund that did the originating side of this. And, there's more on the West Coast than I've seen in quite a while. You got a couple in Utah, a couple in Colorado, Idaho. Of course, you got stuff up in the Pacific Northwest with Washington and Portland as well here. So, but once again, guys, that's kind of how the breakdown is. Thank you for tonight. And if you need to make an offer, feel free to make it direct. I'm just joking. We'll dive into the spreadsheet in a second here. But to get access to the list, if you're not a part of our WCN crew membership or a part of our mastermind, shoot me an email, scott@weclosenotes.com. I will just send you your specific 2 or 3 states. I won't send you the whole list. You don't get full access to it. But bids are due by Wednesday at 5 p.m. That's this Wednesday. That's in basically 48 hours, roughly, give or take. Actually, 46 hours to be precise as we're rolling this. That's Central Time. I've already submitted some offers ahead of time. Doesn't mean if you make an offer higher than mine that I won't turn around and submit yours. I will. I will tell you this. There is a 1% fee to me off of your funding amount. Okay? I know these are performing, so we're not charging a full like a non-performing fee. There's some obviously discounting these. The seller has not given a true discount or not true discount. Told us what they're looking for, highest to best. So what we're going to run some numbers tonight based on seeing about a double-digit return for you, 12, 16% yield on the cash flow. So it makes it pretty easy to run. If they're not going to give you specific price points like 80% of the balance or anything like that, you have to kind of bid off of your requirements. And for performing notes, that's kind of what we look for. We look for a double-digit yield so that we're able to give our underlying investors a great return, 7, 8, 9%, and us keep roughly the rest. Okay. If you have any questions, you can either email me at scott@weclosenotes.com. Feel free to do so. Or you can book a call on my calendar at talkwithscottcarson.com. And just so you know, we do offer BPO and title work for you guys on this now. We've been doing this kind of on the back burner for the last year with our coaching students and members and stuff like that. Well, we're now announcing it across the board to help you with a full BPOs, interior, exterior, appraisals, AVNs, O&E work, full title report, stuff like that. And then other things like door knocking and a whole lot of other services to help you. We've got a great vendor network that we've used for years for ourselves, and now we're opening up to our warm network. So feel free, if you have anything, you can either email me directly what your needs are. We've got a few of the things lined up so you can order directly off the website, but most folks are just email me anyway. So if you want to find out, kind of go to We Close Notes and look at the vendor tab, and you'll see the different buttons on there that you'll be able to pick to do. Also, if you've got notes available for sale that you're looking to do and you would like to have them featured here to our entire database, please reach out to me. We're glad to do that as well. We're going to be posting a deal tomorrow in North Carolina on a non-performing note going to foreclosure. It's not a bad deal. Actually, there's quite a bit of equity above and beyond what the legal balance is, so it's an opportunity for somebody to buy it and make a decent return to foreclosure auction, or take the asset back and now a little bit of a light rehab eviction, and you've got a lot of profit. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the call, or we'll probably do a podcast episode about that and launch the video and let you guys see that. But anyway, let's dive into the tape, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? All right, let me pull it up here. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so 1,317 owner finance notes. Once again, my email is scott@weclosenotes.com. So if you're going to drop me an email, drop me an email. If you want the list, I'll shoot that over to you. And like I said, give me your top 3 states. If you've only got 1 or 2 states, that's fine. Don't tell me the entire list. If you're not in the WC crew, you're not going to get the entire list. Membership has its privileges at $97 a month, plus a lot of other bonuses. Okay. All right. So this tape, I'll just go through it and then we'll resort it by your favorite states. If nobody's going to give me favorite states, then I'll pull up my favorite states and go from there. So you've got a loan ID, you've got a masked loan ID. This is, and you see, this was pulled as of January 31st. So it's literally 16 days old. The property city, state, zip, the original loan amount. They didn't give us appraised value or appraisal date. These are all first lien positions, so I'm going to end up hiding some of these columns as we go. Original term, you can see some of these are as little as 12 months all the way up to 617 months. Some of them have longer terms, okay? Original note rate on these is anywhere from 1%, I know, up to about 14.8. I think the mid-rate average rate was about 8%, if I remember. When I was doing some stuff. FICO scores, that's from the origination. Back end, DTI, debt to income, is not available. Property type, you can see single family, condo, rental, single family, second home. All right. The origination date on these, this is important. So you can see the origination date on some of these go all the way back to 1987. Yeah. Been paying on it for, that's hard to believe, 30 years almost. So there's some of the couple small balances, okay? And then all the way up to 2025. All these should be fixed, I believe. There's a couple arms. Actually, how many of these are arms? Yeah, there's only like a dozen are arms. Okay. In states that would allow that. All right. Okay. No prepayment penalty. Some do, but it's like 60 months. Oh, there's some, especially some of the shorter ones. Okay. All right. Prepayment penalty description, percentage of balance. You have the UPB, unpaid principal balance, deferred principal balance. There's only one that's got $151 deferred. Okay. So here's the BPO value. You have to go off of this. And this is, I know that you guys, this is where you guys are going to get all angry at me. Okay. It's not me doing it. Don't shoot the messenger. All right. BPO values and the BPO dates. And I know these BPO dates don't make a lot of sense beyond 2025. All right, so some of them go way back, and I get it. You're like, well, how do I pull values? You have to go off what they gave you. All right. When they give you addresses, guess what? Then you can order your BPOs, and value comes back lower, value comes back higher. You can fade your bid on that stuff. That's not a problem. Okay. So don't make it a problem when it's not a problem. We're just going to go off the values here because that's what they gave us, and that's what they get to deal with. They get to deal with fading bids. You know what I mean? Current rates. P&I payment, we're going to highlight that because that's one column that we're going to be playing around with a little bit, not playing around, it's changing it, but just highlighting it. You do have total payment on here. That's P&I, TI. FICO date, don't have that. The original LTV, original CLTV, current LTV, that's based off their old values. Okay, so they're even goofy on this thing. Occupancy type, owner occupied, non-owner occupied, stuff like that. Loan purpose, first payment date, paid through dates. You can pay through January 1st. Some have already paid to March. Okay. And like I said, most of these are going to be current. There shouldn't be. Yeah, see, some are already paid through 2026. So they're all current. But some are way ahead, which is always good when they pay way ahead, right? Maturity dates, current maturity dates. Loan status are all active accounts. It means they're all being processed and going through. I do believe there were the third-party servicing. They would not tell me who the third-party servicing company was, but we'll figure that out. Of course, they come back and it's Self-service, we know we'll drop the bid down that a little bit. But anyway, you see the pay strings, you can see any escrow balance, advance balance, that's usually taxes and insurance. If they paid some taxes, obviously you would take that off there. Uh, the date purchased. All right. The equivalent balance. What the equivalent balance means, I don't know. Unless, let's see here, 310. 310. So that's the unpaid principal balance, I guess. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay, deed of trust or mortgage state and their tranches are all different. Okay. So does that make sense in what you have so far, right? You have a bit of an idea of what you're looking at. And like I said, they gave us their value. So you have to go off their value since they're being shysters and not wanting to give us the full addresses. And I do mean I am direct to the seller on this. Okay. Dealt with them before. Trust them wholeheartedly. All right. I already said, I got about 500 bids ready to roll on my own portfolio off of this stuff. And how's that work? Somebody asked me, well, Scott, if you're going to make offers, aren't you just going to go with your lowball offers? No, not necessarily. If I'm submitting 500 offers, you come in with a bid that's higher, guess what? There's plenty of deals to go around. I do not have to say, well, I'm not going to let Judy get a bid because that's going to bid on one. I'm not afraid to bid on 500. Knowing, am I going to get all 500 accepted? Hell no. Am I going to miss out on the one that Judy bids on? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? All right. My goal is that there's plenty of deal flow to go around. That's my big belief. And from the stuff that we see on a regular daily basis, I guarantee there's plenty to go around. All right. So let's do this. Give me your states. Give me your favorite states. You can put them in the chat roll. I see there's a couple folks joining us on YouTube as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, give me a hey shout out and your favorite states. All right. And I'll just narrow the focus of the tape down to those states. Now, I already know we got Texas. So let's throw Texas in there. I already know Arizona, right? Let's go to Texas. Who else? Who else we working with? All right. Well, let's throw. I know I would look at Ohio. I would look at Tennessee. I would also go to Michigan. There's not a lot actually in Ohio or Michigan like there normally is. I would also look at North Carolina. There's a chunk there in the Tar Heel State. Michigan. Let's do Missouri. Oh, Derek is looking for Kansas stuff as well. So we'll look at the Kansas, the Rock Chalk Jayhawk State. What else? Give me some other states that you guys. Indiana's got a couple. I buy in Indiana. All right. So somebody's brave enough. Maine. Thank you. All right. Whoops. Okay. Let's go back here and refilter it again. Okay. Select all. All right. So Arizona. Let's throw Georgia in there too. Indiana, Kansas, Missouri, Michigan. Let's throw Nevada in there as well. Tar Heel, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas. And we'll throw Utah in there as well. Hit OK for right now because, all right, so what else we got? Florida. Okay, 3 states, Sheila. I said 3. All right. No, we're not. Okay. Have you bought something in Alaska, Sheila? Or are you just rattling off states for the fun of it? We already got Tennessee in there. We already got Oklahoma and Arizona. We'll add South Carolina. I'm not going to dive into Florida right now. Florida's got too big of a mess. I want, if you're here in Texas, no, but they had notes available. Okay, I know they have notes available. That doesn't mean you have to go look at everything. One of the big things, this is a teaching moment, is when you're starting off, all right, pick 3 to 5 states. That's the max. Pick 3 or 5 states, okay? So we'll throw South Carolina in there. We won't look at Alaska because you're not going to buy anything in Alaska right now, okay? Let's add the Gamecock, Carolina. All right, South Carolina. Okay, so now we have those. All right, if you didn't say anything, tough luck, Chuck. All right, so that now narrows. When we look at that, that narrows the list down to. Oh, we don't have it. Let's see. Well, it narrows down a lot. Okay. So now that we have the states that we like, that's great. Now let's go over here. We're going to sort this. Custom sort. Actually, let's do this. Let's just make it easier. I'm going to copy this information over because I don't want to go in here and unfilter something. We got states and we don't want to look at. So I'm going to make it in a clean spreadsheet. Don't worry, I will send out the spreadsheet, all 1,300 to those, or like those have been posted. All righty, there's a lot in here. There's a bunch, especially when you pick Texas and North Carolina, Arizona. All right, so we can Control C. We're going to go file to a new spreadsheet. Control V. All right, so now, hopefully it doesn't freeze up on me like the spreadsheet did a couple nights ago. There we go. Okay, so when you do that, that cut our tape in half. So 600 or 742, just a little over half. Okay, great. Let me blow this up a little bit bigger. All right, so let me make it easier to read. Okay. All right, hit view, hit freeze pane. All right, so we have our headers. That's great. All right, so now let's do this. One of the most important things we can do is look at what has equity, what doesn't have equity, right? Now, we know that's going to be a mixed bag of things when it comes to actually pulling values. Okay, so let's go over here. And what we're going to do, so we already got the P&I payment already figured in there. That's green, so let's go ahead and figure this in here. And just do that times 12 months is equal to, we'll just say 12 months P&I. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of these columns too, so we're not having to go through it. Okay, so we don't have appraised value date. We're going to go ahead and hide those. We know they're all first lien, so we're going to hide those. We're going to go on over here. They're all, and we'll worry about ARM and stuff later. Deferred. Oh, we got to filter this. That's what we forgot to do. Share. Make sure. I think so. All right. So there's our. Yeah. Thank you, Judy. I'm sharing the new screen here, the new spreadsheet. Thank you. All right. So 12 months. P&I. All right. So if we take their P&I payment times 12, that's what we're doing there. All right, so 1,300 coming in is 15,767 in a year. Okay, great. So we're going to take Control C and copy that all the way down. And the reason I do this, well, if it's performing, that's the most they have coming in, right? That's the most it's going to come in. Now, what I'm going to go in here and do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some small balance notes. Just not worth the time to target the small balances. Yes, I know some of you may have small IRA balances. Roth, oh, those would be great for, yeah, maybe it could be, but for tonight's purpose, we are not going to do that. Okay. I'm not going to go and spend a lot of time in the cities too. I mean, there's some rural stuff here in Texas and other areas too. We're just going to focus on numbers tonight and let numbers be our driving force. And then you can go and look, oh, I don't like that city. That city's too filthy. I don't like that city either. Okay. We're going to run some numbers and let you do all the dirty work. Okay, so we don't have FICO dates on here. We're just going to delete that off. We don't need that. Front end DTI, we don't need that. Okay. Let's see here. They're all active accounts. We're going to hide that. All right, so then we have these dates over here. These we don't need. Yeah, they're performing. We're going to get rid of the pay string. All right, so it makes it a little bit easier. So we aren't having to go back and forth, back and forth. And let's filter this. Filter. There we go. That's better. Okay, now we got a little bit easier tape to work on. We got a couple, three. We're just gonna get rid of the prepayments. Get rid of because only three of them do. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of those, hide those. Okay. All right. So now, what's this? The deferred principal balance. Okay. So they have BPO value, the BPO dates on these. All right. So let's do this. Unpaid principal balance, BPO value. All right. So then let's do this. BPO value date. Some of these are all over the place. Okay. Let's insert a column in here. Insert. And we're just going to say equity dollar amount. And so you're going to take the BPO minus the unpaid principal balance. Okay. Easy done. All right. Now we're going to insert another column in here. We're going to say equity percentage. And that's going to be equal to that divided by the BPO value. 16%. All right. So those are two things, because that'll help us be able to filter through these things. Okay, which of these have equity? Which of these don't have equity? There's a few that were upside down. Okay. All right. So we're going to hit Control C. Now we're going to copy that down for all 700 cells. What I'll do for those in here, if you're on there and you just want like one state, I'll switch you the state, but I'll take it off of this. Well, if it's not in the state, if you didn't vocalize what state you're looking for, I'm sorry. All right, there we go, 742. All right. So now we have some that have some equity and some negative equity, right? All right. So now what we will do, now there's even some land out here, but the property, I forgot to show you that property type. So second home, cottage, commercial real estate, non-owner, commercial real estate, owner, I don't know how that works. Condo, second home, condo, retail, farmland with third-party financing, farmland without dwelling, improved. So you got 10 acres on here. Mobile home. There's actually quite a bit of different stuff on here. Vacant 10-acre commercial, vacant 10-acre retail. All right. So there's performing. All right. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up with the asset. We know that. Okay. But there you go. One of my big things is you never buy a note on something you don't want to end up owning. All right. So let's go ahead and highlight these in green because these are columns that I edited, right? I added and inserted. So that's what I like to do. All right. So equity, and we're going to do equity percentage. All right. So now let's resort these. All right. So we know the P&I payment. We know the 12-month cash flow. We know what their value is. We know what the UPB is. We know if there's equity based on that older BPO, which is okay. Okay. They're not going to give us more information. That's all we can go off of. All right. So now let's go in here, custom sort it, resort it by the equity percentage. Custom sort actually by equity dollar, it's always, so we want to do it by equity dollar, then equity percentage. Actually, it should be about the same. Equity dollar. Let's do equity dollars. And largest to smallest. And see what that looks like. Okay, so it's all magically changed. So some of these have been paid down. So like this one, they say they've got, they say a BPO value, which was pulled November last year. For this one is 2.45 million. And this is in Gardendale, Texas. This is commercial real estate, non-owner occupied. Okay. Magnolia, Texas. This is another thing. The high-end values. Okay. So what we forgot to do is let's do what the current UPB and get rid of some of these small balances. Okay. Unpaid principal balance. And by small balances, well, you got everything about 45,000 as a smallest on here. I would leave that in there. Let's just leave it everything. I think I took off the thing under 50, but it's only 2 or 3. The stuff that's the big stuff, I forgot on my own stuff. Some of this is commercial. I got rid of some of the higher balances stuff because for what I can buy. But anyway, we'll leave it in here for the fun of it. Okay. So now we can now resort this. As you see, equity percentage is a good chunk on there. Some good size stuff that they've paid down and values have gone up, right? Second home, commercial real estate. It's kind of a mixed bag of stuff that's been owner financed. Okay. Now, I'm not really going to worry about the different percentages until we start getting down where equity is below 20 grand. Okay. And so what I would do is when they start going to negative equity, it's kind of that price split. Remember, if it's these are performing notes and they're probably going to want, it doesn't make sense to pay 80% of the UPB when they're underwater. No, that's where we would drop it down to probably 65, 70% of value. Might even have to go up to 80, but we're not going to offer UPB. Now, if there's equity, like a huge amount of equity, they're going to want us to be roughly at 80%, I would say, of the UPB, because that's all they give it. They haven't given, oh, the UPB is pretty close to payoff. Not exact, right? Because it's performing. So we'll run numbers for anything really over $20,000 in equity, with equity at 80% of the UPB. Anything with negative equity, then we're going to adjust that down some to probably 80% of the fair market value. Okay. And then we'll see how those numbers work comparatively to figure a yield. Now, you could always go back here and say, hey, I want to make a 16 yield off the cash flow alone and do the same thing. Here's what my bid is off the cash flow with equity. If it's negative equity, well, I don't, the cash flow, I should be making a higher yield because they owe more than the property's worth, so I'm going to pay less than the property. So your yield should be a little bit higher. We'll show you the numbers on it, but there's a marked difference on this of going back and forth here. So we're going down here. You can see 60,000, 65,000. I mean, most of these have a sizable amount of equity, we get to, till we get down to the last few have some negative equity, not a lot. So I got rid of probably the states that had the most amount of negative equity that weren't on here. Okay. So for what we're looking for in these states that we like so far, most of them have equity, right? Some of them have smaller equity. So and we know like 20,000 and on the lower value properties, that's a sizable, but on the bigger value properties, especially some of these BPOs are from 2017, we don't know where the value really is, right? So we still have to just be kind of conservative mindset on it and say, okay, it's not like playing darts. I gave the analogy to a guy I talked to today. He goes, well, how can I make an accurate bid? I want to hit that bullseye. I'm like, you're in the front end. There's no reason to chase the bullseye. All you need to do really is worry about being on the board. Get on the dart board, get within vicinity. If your bid's roughly there or it's countered, then you need the full address and then you'll know more numbers. But if you're not even on the dartboard, don't even worry about it. All right. Then once you get on the dartboard, then you focus on the dartboard. It's impossible. It'd be like throwing darts with your eyes closed and spun around 3 times. You're never going to hit the dartboard here because you're kind of running blind. So don't worry. Just worry about getting on the dartboard, not worry about the bullseye. Okay. So we see most of these have equity. They've got some equity. Like this one was 3,000. Well, guess what? The BPO value is at 98. The unpaid balance is at 99. They got a little bit of negative equity. Your value's gone down a little bit. Well, we're not going to bid at 80 cents on the dollar of UPB. I mean, we would be at about 82. It might not be that bad. But since you have something like this, then what we do, let's look at the cash flow. All right, so 12-month cash flow. All right, so let's do this. Most of these have equity that we have on here. It's a little different than what I did earlier. Okay, so let's go over. So BPO value. So they have equity, sizable. So let's do 80%. Insert this in here. And let's just say this one is going to be 80% UPB. Okay, so it's going to be that number, 650 times 0.8. All right. Now what we're going to do, so we have 12 months of P&I. So let's go over here and hit insert and say 12-month ROI at that on a cash flow, which is going to be a really easy number, is equal to the 12 months coming in divided by what you paid, the 80% number. Okay. So we're going to highlight these in green, bold them. Same thing for this one. And you'll see in a second, 9% doesn't sound good. I understand that. Totally get it. All right. We're going to run a couple of different numbers on here. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right. So now, well, just say I want to make a 16% yield based on the cash flow because I got to raise capital for this. So if my bid at 16% yield on the cash flow isn't going to come be accepted, then I don't even want to worry about it. But you get what I'm saying? Why 16%, Scott? Well, 16% gives you good enough yield that can get pay somebody 8 to 10% and still make a good chunk of money, either 50% of the gross cash flow or a little less. So let's run some numbers for that. Okay. So let's insert a number in here. Okay. Great. Thank you. Great. Escape. Insert. Okay. Oh, because it was, oh, whatever. Let's just go over here. Insert. Okay. Why is it not? Let me do this now. All right. Let's just go over here. So because it would push empty cells off the end of the worksheet. These non-empty cells might appear empty, but have blank values, some formatting or a formula. Okay, I don't understand that escape. Let's do this. Okay, let's just do this. Original, we don't need to worry about original LTV. Let's just go and hit delete those. Whoopie-doo. Okay. And let's just say 16% ROI offer. All right, that's it. So now we take the cash flow, which is the 12 months, and we divide that number by 0.16, right? Nope. Which is $1. So if we wanted a 16% return, remember the BPO 80% is 520, and we want 16%, which is 45, then we would offer 284. They probably wouldn't accept it because there's all that equity. That's fine. They ain't got to accept it, but we got to stick to our numbers, right, ladies and gentlemen? All right, so let's go through here and let's run this number down. And some of these are going to make sense. Others are not going to make sense at all. Okay. Go down, copy that formula down. On the lower rates, it really can make sense. On the higher rates, it may make sense because you get some higher interest rates on here. But that helps you identify the ones that you can make a more competitive offer on and be in the ballgame. All right, 16% ROI offer. Okay. And let's go over here. So if we were if it's as it sits, if we paid 80 cents on the dollar, go back up. We're going to copy these two formulas down. Shift, Control C, and just go all the way down. And this is probably where my Excel formula blows up. Hey, Rob. Rob MB, see you on YouTube there. For those that are here on Zoom, is this making sense so far? Kind of what I'm doing, trying to help filter through some of this stuff? You're just trying to organize it by a way that makes sense. Okay. All right. So now we know over here. Now you have a bit of a high and a low. Now you've got kind of a in between. You've got 16% yield on one side, and what the yield is, what the price is for that. And the other side, well, 80% of cash flow. And the idea is now you're filtering it down. What makes sense? What's going to make sense for me to keep which or what? And that's how you make your bids. All right. At the 80%, these make sense. I'll make an offer at 80% of which gives me a double-digit return here. Well, the others over here, I'll make an offer at I need to be at 16%. I'll make my offer at a low ball here. Whether you accept it or don't accept it, I don't care. It just allows you making more offers and getting rocket and rolling the game. Okay. It's a question here. Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Yep. I think. All right. So people, it's making sense so far. Okay. So now, all right. So now that we've got some numbers here, let's hit escape. And let's hit the magic save button. Save. So we don't just hit save as browse. Just do my desktop. We're going to say 1300 scrubbed. All right. So now we can. All right. So the likelihood of you getting a higher bid, like at 80%, is probably going to make more sense. Let's just look at that. So let's rank these if you paid at 80 cents of the dollar. Okay. Custom sort. Custom sort. And we're going to sort it by not the equity dollar amount, but we're going to do 80%. There's my column. 80% UPB. Oh, no. We went not the we went to 12-month ROI. We went to largest to smallest. Okay. So now, through the magic of me waving my magic wand, we now have these on a yield basis. Max ROI, 12-month ROI, dollar. Let's change that to percentage. Dollar. I think that's better. Okay. Dollar amount, something with it, and just put everything in percentages. Okay, equity percentage. That's right. Okay. BPO value, dollar amount, value. Change that date to format to a date. That's better. Why did it just do that? I don't know. Okay, why is that shouldn't be 6% ROI offered? Oh, yeah, that's so 524. Yeah, so my math, why did that's just strange. Total payment 70. Why did it do that? P&I payment. Did I just tweak some things up? So, okay, some of these are gonna be way off. Yeah, so when we resorted it, that's what it would. Complete resorted, yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of some of these things. Okay. Oh man, why did it just do date purchased? Okay. Let's just do this. Share. Can I go back to the main? No. Let's just clean this up here. Sorry, guys. Dollar amount, equivalent balance. Okay. We just got to clean some of these columns up. Sometimes you'll have that happen. Original loan amount, that's a dollar amount, not a payment. As of date, change these to a date. All right, so this is a date. Okay. City, zip, format cells. Special zip code. Original loan amount is right, dollar amount. Term, that's a number. There we go. Original rate, interest rate. Oh, that's what it did. That's what it did with it. So it took those original rates. Well, no, this shouldn't be. Let's do this. Format cells. I don't know why it would do that. Okay, fraction. Currency. No, let's do percentage. Okay. FICO score, we don't need those. Backend data, we don't need DTI, don't need that. Okay, origination date, that's a date. I must have copied, oh, can't actually origination format cells. I must have highlighted it and hit percentage by some weird freak accident. There we go. Now we're getting to where things are looking more normal. Okay. Yeah, this one, let's get rid of some of these that just don't make any sense. You're not going to make a current rate 6%. Equity, you're not going to make a 1,507% return. 80% of UPB. Oh, that's what it is. It's on the final months of the pay down. Okay. Some of these that just don't make sense, we're going to get rid of. That, like that one, no, we're just getting rid of it. This one, 430%, 80% UPB. Big value is not 195. Oh, P&I payment. So this is yeah, it's not making sense because it's almost paid off. That's what it is. Okay. Now we're looking a little bit nicer. Okay. But look at some of these 25, 23, 22% based on their P&I payments coming in. It's pretty good, right? So let's just look at this one. So, oops, what did I just do? Delete that. Okay. All right. So now some of these are probably going to be shorter terms. Oh no, let's look at this one. BPO value of this one. Let's do this for example. Okay. All right. So they owed 168. We're just going to highlight this one in yellow so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Just I don't even know what state it's in. They owe 168. 80% of that is 135. They're making a P&I payment of 5604. Okay, so this must be a shorter term loan. Commercial, yeah. That's what it is. These are all dates. That's what it is. Format cells to dates. There we go. Okay. So first payment was January 1st, paid through was of 2025. Next due maturity date is in 3 years. So they're really rapidly paying that one down. Okay. That would be great. They're just going to pay a lot. Okay. I might not. Livingston, Texas. Okay. It's commercial real estate, owner occupied. Probably like a, well, maybe a mixed use. Who knows? Okay. So let's go down here. Let's just go down a little bit further. Let's change the property owner just to single family homes. Let's just tweak that up a little. Second home. Let's get rid of the condos, the farmland. We'll do multiple. We'll do duplex, fourplexes, 5 unit, single family rental, owner occupied, and every hit. Okay, so that's going to give us a better list. Okay, so now, all right, let's. So we organize it by more just residential stuff, and then let's look at these here. So we've got it 80%. Here's the ROI. It making an offer at 80%. If you wanted to make a 16-month, let's just compare the two here. So, okay, here's the difference. That's what I was doing. I was forgetting on something here. Oh, okay. So where it says a 16-month ROI offer a 220. Well, if they don't owe 220, you're not going to pay 220. The original loan amount was 210 because this is a shorter term. See, 86 months. That's why it's so high on the yield. That's what it is. You're going to get paid down quite a bit faster. Okay. Let's change the original term here to make it a little bit easier. Let's do the higher terms. All right, so we'll just say 360 terms. So you have a bit of an idea. 360, 361, 362. So we did it to 360. Okay, that gives us better. Okay. Now we have a better idea on where it's going. All right, 360-month term. Look at this. UPB is kind of small. All right. Origination date, the 2008. So in a 30-year term, that's been in there for, what is it, 18 years? It's on the back side where it's not so much interest. I like to be more on the front side, especially if you're doing a 30-year mortgage. I would prefer be in the first 10 years when most of it's interest versus the last half of the mortgage. Does that make sense, everybody? So you're going to need to adjust this a little bit. So that's why it's so high. Oh, it seems like high, but actually it's more principal pay down versus just pure interest only. All right. And that's the problem. You can't run a formula on here. That's why your 10b2 calculator on your phone and everything else will look good. You just run some numbers. You run some formulas on here. You look at things and identify what's going to make sense for you. So let's look at some of these. All right. So let's look at 19. Let's see. Some of these origination dates are higher. Well, if the origination date is higher, then you can offer a lower yield or a lower offering to get the yield that you have because it is going to be moved a lot faster. You will get your money paid back faster. So that's the 80% would be like the highest I would offer. All right. We go over here to So let's do this here. Let me insert this thing. Oh, it will this time. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do yield, or let's see equity at 16% offering. All right. So then you would take your BPO. No, you would take your yeah, BPO minus your, is that right? No. Your 12 month, you would take your actually the balance and minus your, that's what it is, your 12-month. So there you go. You'd have 556 if you got it at the 180, because this has got a 7% interest rate. If you went 16, yeah, you offer less than about 50 cents on the dollar. Okay. So there you go. Kind of run it down there, run that number all the way down. Is there anything with negative equity? Probably not. They're all going to have some equity. Okay. So now, question here from somebody. All right. So you don't understand what you just did. Okay. So Judy, one thing to keep in mind. All right. I can understand it and make it, well, not understand what I did. So on these, when a house is a 30-year mortgage, right? We can all agree like the first 10 years is basically just pure interest. The principal is going down slowly, right? Well, on some of these that are beyond 15 years, it's the second half of the loan, right? So it's paying down principal a lot faster than it is interest. It's just still paying interest each month, but it's paying down principal reduction. So you're not getting much profit off the interest because the mortgage is halfway paid off, right? So that's why you have to go in here and say, okay, I want to make I want to make a lower offer. So I'm going to make sure and get a good yield. Yeah, it says 30% here, but that's not necessarily it when you run it through a financial calculator on your deal. Like, okay, yeah, they're making this payment. Let's just do this. Let's look at here. So like, let me give you an example. So BPO value dates. Let's just go off of this one. 3/5/2008. Okay. They are 18, right, basically right at 18 years paid off, right? They only have 12 years left. Okay. So yes, if they're making $992.04 a month to you, a year to you, just a quick kind of rough numbers. All right, 9,204 times 12 months. I'm sorry, by 12 years. That means they've paid 100, they pay 110,448, right? So right here, let me highlight this. So you made an offer at 51. Okay, you make some money on that over the next 12 years. That's good. Remember, 110 is total coming in. That wouldn't be that bad a deal if they accept that. That's an 18% yield off of that. That's not so bad. But when you run the numbers through, it's probably going to pay down a little bit lower because this monthly P&I payment, well, no, it's mostly principal now. So it's going to be less interest on it. So yeah, you could pick your choice. Well, am I going to make an offer at 55 or am I more likely, this is kind of that cusp at 16%, you know, where I get an 18 at 51, or does it make more sense for me to make an offer at 16% and get a 55 and get it at 55? So that's kind of the cusp you have to look at, that revolving number between 16, because remember, all these are based on just a straight 16% yield based on what's coming in on the cash flow. And you still got to run it through because the principal pay downs are going to reduce your interest every month of what's going down. So hopefully that makes sense for you a little bit, is that you're halfway through a 30-year. Well, it's mostly principal. If you can get it at a discount, yes, it will make sense. A sizable discount. If you get 20% discount, it should still make sense for you in a profitable market. I'm just not going to run everything through a financial calculator or there's an amortization table to make sure. I'm just going to make a quick, hey, if I make an offer here at 80%, I know they owe 64 and they're paying down 64 over time. That's what I goofed up on. I'd rounded off the 80%, which is what you paid, right? But they're paying down 64. That's what it was. My apology. That's why I made it confusing. So yeah, you still get a little bit of a 20% bumper off of that, which is good. So then it's just a matter of, okay, what can you afford and what kind of yield are you looking for? So like I said, at 16%, when these two columns kind of interact, where the yield here makes sense at 80, that looks good. But when it gets down here to, when you start getting down below 16%, then you probably want to go off of the 16% yield as your offering, provided that this offering isn't above what the balance is, okay? Or isn't above what the 80% is. So like this one at 53, okay, that's above your 80%. I wouldn't pay above 80%, okay? Let me give you an example. This will make more sense. Insert. So let's do what's your percentage of UPB at 16% off. All right. So now there we go. That's better. These big ones always throw it off. Let me do this. $0.95 of the dollar of the UPB. See, this one paying 47 doesn't make any sense. I don't want to make a 95-cent offer because they owe 62. Is that right? I'm screwing myself up here. All right, so if I make an offer of that, what is it going to compare to the unpaid balance? That's what it is. I just put the wrong number. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, I had it too high. So yeah, so if I make an offer at this, that's at 76 cents of the dollar. That's not so bad. That's actually better than making an offer at 80. That's why we offer 50. Okay, that's better. Yep. Okay. So making an offer at 16%. Yeah, that's it. So I would be basically at 47. I'm paying 76 cents of the dollar for that mortgage of 67. That's right. Okay. So that's where you run the numbers at. Let's just get rid of this big one on top. This crazy one. Yeah, it's a little bigger. Now we can run it down. Okay, so that's what I'm paying for it. If I paid it at 16, what kind of percentage? And these ones that get down lower, yeah, you see you're at 92 cents, 93%. I don't want to pay that. I want to go at 80%. So there's what I was looking for. The difference, the wave. Making an offer just flat 16% is good, but I'm paying 93, 92 cents of the dollar. I don't want to do that. I don't want to I want to make 16% or 80 or pay 80%, whatever's going to get me that great yield. All right. And that's where the rubber meets the road at. So now, okay, yep, 76. Now we have kind of our offers on the states that we want to look at. And you see Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Pasadena, Texas, Tyler, Cuero, Texas, the Gobblers. And on these, since we narrowed it down to the 30-year term, we can run pretty easy numbers on it. Then we go. Now you can go back and add the 20-year terms and 5 years, all that stuff, the lower term stuff as well. But I just wanted to make it pretty easy to solve numbers on this. So if we look at the 30-year term, how many how many states is this right here? So that's down to, that's 80, it's 85. Okay. And most of them, Prescott, Grandview, Milford, Madison, Tennessee, Wellston, Oklahoma, most of them, New Bern. I got a buddy, we're pulling a BPO on a property in New Bern right now. Garland, Texas. So obviously, because Texas is the biggest list of it, there's going to be a huge amount of Texas stuff in here based off we would. Because remember, we didn't pull the Florida stuff and other things like that. So now we look at here, okay, what's going to make sense for me to make an offer? What's the highest and best? Well, these all had a higher yield at 80%. These are probably, let's just change this to make offer. So this, because basically where it gets down to 16%. All right. So is equal to a number. And we get down to 16%. We'll leave it there. We'll do one more. So you see these are probably all going to be very close to say 16% yield. And equity at 16% offer. Where's our 12-month P&I? Where's my 16% yield numbers? Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah, see, if I was to make an offer at 60% yield, it'd be a much higher offer on this one. Yeah, I don't want that one. I don't want to pay higher. See, yeah, see 65, 651, and then this one over here is 65, 160. They're right in there, that cusp, okay? But now going below that, well, if I offer 18% or 80% of UPB, it's only a 15% yield. Whereas over here, that number is 39,501 is what my offer be of 80% UPB, 39,501. Whereas if I want to get a 16%, I have to offer 38. So from this point going forward, that's where you would pull your numbers from. Is equal to, and now you can copy that formula down the rest of the day. Control V, and there you go. There's your offers on this column right here is where you would submit your offers at. Remember, 80% of UPB, I'll make an offer at 80% of UPB because I'm going to get a higher return based on the cash flow coming in. But when I get down below 16, well, I don't want to make 80% because my yield goes down, starts going down 10, 12, 9%, right? Well, then those, I got to get a 16 yield, so my bid's going to be less. And go that route. And that's where you would come in and make your offers. That's basically what I did. Ugh. That's what I did. I just went over and said, okay, here's my offers at. We're going to bold these. Make offers. And see what they say. And most of these are, now, of course, it's relevant if the property is something you want to buy. We can't tell if it's the property something I want to buy. Like I say, number one rule, never buy an asset you don't want to end up owning. Okay. And like this one, if it originated in 2024, it's probably going to be in pretty good shape, right? Probably should stay pretty much the same thing. We have anything in Austin, Texas? Austin. Nothing in Austin. Okay. We have anything in Cedar Park? No, we didn't have anything in Cedar Park already. Okay. But that's where you kind of look at, that's kind of taking this, how you would look at this stuff. Okay. I like 60%. Now you would adjust your number and say 15% is good for me. If I'm 12%, I use my own money, 12% is what I want to make. Then you figure, okay, 80%, that's gonna give me this yield. I'm gonna pay 80% until I get down to that 12%. When I start to go above 12%, I'll go over and figure 12% off the cash flow and go from there. But always want to run this through a financial calculator in your final bids, making sure it's truly a 12 or 15% yield based on the payment remaining. And if this is all within the first 5 years, I really wouldn't care about it. First 5 years, I'm not going to fret about it too much. You start getting beyond halfway point in a 30-year mortgage, it's more principal than interest. You're going to make less profit because it's paying your principal down. Even though you're buying at a discount, it's still not going to be a true exact 100% yield. It's to be in the ballpark, like you're on the board, not quite bullseye on what we're figuring here. So that's why you got to go back and look at things. All right. Any questions? Any comments? This is also why I like non-performing. Because I'm going to get bigger discounts on the non-performing side. But hey, if you can buy some performing notes, like a Rances Pass, like I grew up down that neck of the woods. All right. It's worth 95. Single family occupied. I think that's a little lower. Well, origination 10 years ago. Yeah, it's probably worth 250 now. All right. Unpaid balance is 81. You're going to have some more equity because it's been around for 5 years. But they don't give you, the BPO value that they pulled in 2018 was 169. Okay, it's probably worth more than that. That would be I'd be pretty safe on that one, I think, because people are living in their house. And Aransas Pass is a little bit older, smaller town in Southwest Texas, but I would bid on that one because I know that area. I don't mind owning it if they don't perform. Now, the whole goal on this too, the whole goal on this that you could do, here's a couple strategies, okay? And we're working on this right now. I'll tell you that. So on those where the borrower is over 62, right? If they don't want to pay anymore, we would target them if they have a higher interest rate. What would make sense? Well, they got a higher interest rate. Let's see if we can't get them refinance out. Let's have them get into a lower interest rate. So if we went over here to where the interest rates are, see their current rate, like 9%, 8%. Let's look at these current rates. Yeah, I mean, 5, 6. So so most of these, we would be working with us if they've got equity and they've been paying on time through a third-party servicing company, and we got a decent debt-to-income ratio, and they also have a decent FICO score now. I would try to get them to refinance out. Let's get you, you owe 50, but I paid 29 for the note, or I paid 40 grand for the note, whatever my bid was, fine. I would try to get you to refinance out. Why not make 10 grand in less than a year on a $40,000 purchase? That's a 25% cash and cash return. Or if you're over 62 and a half and you don't want to make a mortgage payment, why don't we tap in that equity and put you in a reverse mortgage for a period of time where you don't have to make a mortgage payment? You're paying on time, but if you're struggling, let's do that, and let's not worried about that. So there's 2 ways to work it: keep people in their houses, get them into a better rate, or get them refinancing out, and you're making a chunk of change in 12 months or 15 months. That's why I was curious why this guy or the seller on this is marketing and selling these notes off. I would just be working, hey, you got a higher interest rate. I'd be working with a mortgage broker to be reaching out to these people and say, hey, let's get you refinanced out. All right. You're at 12%, at 10%, 9%. We can get you a better rate. If you got a ton of equity, you got 20, 30% equity, by all means, let's get you refinanced out. Now, of course, in some of these smaller, it's 6%. Well, that's based on old numbers. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's just more than beyond buying this for cash flow. It's also buying for it. Hey, maybe it makes sense to get these borrowers refinanced out. Yeah, if they keep paying on time, 12% is pretty good. 12, 15, 16% is great. But if I can, the velocity of capital, if I get them refinanced out in a year or 2, and they tap out, but I get a lump payoff now at 10, 20% or 30% of what I paid for the note, that's a great day. That's a great year. It's a great 2 years. Okay. How would I go about that? Well, I would partner with a loan officer and say, hey, I got 425 leads on people with equity with higher interest rates. Would you be interested in working a marketing play to work to get them refinanced out? And that's what I do. I direct call, phone call. I would say, hey, let's try to work things out. I would actually call them, hey, this is your lender. We need to speak to you. We noticed you had a higher interest rate. Have you thought about refinancing out, or maybe pulling some equity out of here? That's the thing. People are refinancing right now to pull equity, even out of 3% and sub 3% mortgages. Why not? Why not help people? It's a win-win. You can't go wrong. If you're getting great cash flow or you're refinancing somebody out making money, this is a great thing to do. That's my philosophy. And that's why I went down to this single family owner occ stuff. Yeah, maybe you can't because it is a second home, or maybe they're using it as an Airbnb or whatever. But what I'm trying to get at is there's some opportunity. Hey, let's help you sell the house. We'll even take allow you to sell a little bit below value. Let's get these things moved, or work some magic to make some things happen. Okay. Yeah, they're paying on time. They're not distressed, but maybe they just don't know their options. So that's one thing I would take a look at as well as doing as an opportunity. So, like I said, guys, if you're interested, I hope that made sense. Come on out to our class Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not this coming, but next week's 11 days out. Go to notebuyingfordummies.com, get signed up, take advantage of it. The ticket is good for you plus a spouse or partner. Like I said, we've got a new manual over probably 70% of it's new, tweaked, updated, new websites, new marketing. It's the world has changed quite a bit in the last year and a half, and we're going to share some of our strategies and tools that maybe most folks aren't aware of. All right. So love to have you here. Any other questions, comments before I let you guys go for the night? Like I said, those that are in our WC and crew, one-on-one coaching students, you've already had the whole list sent to you. If you're looking for specific states, guys out there, email me and we'll send you a specific state or two. Okay. Great stuff, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you at the top. Call me with any questions. Talk with ScottCarson.com. Book a call. Talk with ScottCarson.com. I'm home most of the week. We do have some family coming in briefly. So if you don't see something, just message me and we'll work out a time. All right. Great, everybody. Take care. We'll see you.